riding along in my automobile, my baby beside me at the wheel. I stole a kiss at the turn of a mile, my curiosity running wild, cruising and playing the radio.
From the heart of the NYPTI radio recording studios, high atop 107 Columbia, with both eyes on Eagle Street and a heavy heart for the loss of Chuck Berry, welcome to this week's edition of the NYPTI Practice Tips. Today we will discuss the issues of stopping a motor vehicle and searching the driver, the passengers, and its contents. The basics. When law enforcement officers stop a vehicle, they must have reasonable suspicion to believe a crime is about to, or has been committed by someone in the vehicle, or that law enforcement officer possesses probable cause to believe that the driver has committed a VTL violation. The automobile exception to the search warrant rule, that is, the requirement that law enforcement officers acquire a search warrant before searching private property, is an exception only to the warrant requirement. It does not, in contrast to the search incident to lawful arrest exception, dispense with the requirement that there must be probable cause to justify the search of the vehicle. Two considerations have generally been cited as justifying this exception to the car search warrant rule. That is, number one, the reduced expectation of privacy associated with automobiles and their inherent mobility, which often makes it impractical to obtain a warrant. When the law enforcement officer stops and searches a vehicle, there are two potential issues of standing the defense must address in order to secure a suppression. Any person traveling in the vehicle has the right to challenge the initial stop, just as anyone would have the right to challenge a stop by law enforcement officers while he or she was walking or running on the sidewalk and so forth. The defendant then must establish an expectation of privacy in the vehicle searched. Being a passenger in a friend's car alone does not give that person standing to challenge a search of the vehicle, even though they would have the right to challenge the stop of the vehicle. The parameters within which law enforcement officers must operate to search a vehicle and its contents, including closed containers, was established in People v. Belton, the 1982 edition of the many Belton decisions, and then in People v. Langen 1 year later. This Belton decision was written upon its return from the U.S. Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court had determined such a search was proper under the U.S. Constitution, which overruled the Court of Appeals decision that this search had in fact violated the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. This final Belton decision addressed the application of the New York State Constitution to the issue. In holding the search proper, the court wrote, "In conclusion, then, we hold that where police had validly arrested an occupant of an automobile, and they have reason to believe that the car may contain evidence related to the crime for which the occupant was arrested, or that a weapon may be discovered, or a means of escape thwarted, they may contemporaneously search the passenger compartment, including any containers found therein. The search of defendant's jacket as it lay on the back seat was therefore proper, and the evidence seized admissible." Subsequently, the appellate courts have determined that under the right circumstances, the automobile exception that justifies the search of closed containers within the vehicle includes officers going into the trunk of the vehicle and the closed containers within the trunk as well. In Arizona v. Gant, in 2009, the U.S. Supreme Court held that its decision in New York v. Belton did not authorize a full-blown search of a vehicle as a search incident to lawful arrest when a defendant is arrested in that vehicle. There must be some additional basis to justify such on-the-scene searches. In reading this decision, it is clear that the New York courts had been interpreting Belton in accord with this decision in Gant, and that in fact the Gant decision had little practical effect on the New York decisional law dealing with these issues. When the police are in a position or vantage point where they have a legal right to be, they also have the right to use a flashlight to illuminate an area of the car that would normally be visible to the eye. Once legally stopped, the law enforcement officers have the right to order the occupants from the vehicle or to open the doors as a proper safety precaution. The safety of law enforcement officers is always a key issue that justifies police intrusion on civilians, especially when dealing with motor vehicles. The Court of Appeals approved in People v. Mundo in 2002 the limited search of a car when law enforcement officers had reasonable belief that a weapon was located within the vehicle and presented an actual and specific danger to their safety. In this case, the police searched for the gun, which led to the recovery of drugs. The limited search was found to be proper under the facts of the case. For the case law authority for the many issues we've discussed today, please be sure to read this NYPTI practice tip, which contains all of the case sites, as well as the expanded comprehensive memo titled Search of Motor Vehicles and Closed Containers in the Vehicle. Our thanks as always to our crack producer, Jonathan Marconi Crispino. To all of you, be well and stay ready, my friends.